Hello, Falcon Paladin. Welcome to the podcast, episode 369.
Hey, nice. Thank you for the welcome to the podcast. It is good to be here, as always.
It's good to have you here.
What's up? Yeah, what's up, Bovine Slime? How you doing today? Good to see you for the podcast as well. Bovine usually doesn't have much to say, but it's good to see him. All right, so... On the docket today, we've got Thunderbolts, we've got Warhammer, we've got me talking about Andor a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And my experience watching Attack on Titan with my daughter, so got a lot of stuff to pack in.
Isn't Attack on Titan a little, I don't know, violent for a 12-year-old?
So, when you're in a family with multiple kids, like 3, 4, 5 plus kids, the younger kids just get like grandfathered into like the media their older brothers and sisters are watching.
Right.
When I was a kid, I was the firstborn. No violence, no sex, no profanity in anything I ever watched. But by the time my younger brothers and sisters were coming up, it was like, watch a rated R movie when I was 12, and I'm like, that's interesting.
I don't know that so much that the younger kids get grandfathered in. I think that's your parents giving up.
Or that, right? Yeah, certainly. Just either way, it's kind of the same thing with video games in my household growing up too. Okay. No video game consoles allowed. And then there was a Wii, and then there were Switches, and there was an Xbox, and I'm like, all right, I see how this is.
Yeah, okay.
So that's just kind of what's going on with the daughter. Is like, I don't know. Apparently, she watched Jujutsu Kaisen with her brothers. Well, I had no idea that was happening, and I'm like, she's like, everybody dies, and then I'm like, okay.
Well, look, I'm not saying
she seems fine.
I'm not saying she shouldn't be exposed to media where people die, right? Like, I'm not saying that, but like, people get eaten in that show in Attack on Titan, right?
Dismembered and pulled apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, in short, she's doing fine.
Okay.
I mean, if she wasn't sleeping well and she was having nightmares or something, I'd be like, all right, we're gonna end this for a while.
But she seemed fine.
She's doing great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She is so scarred by Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, everything we watch together, she's like, I'm afraid they're gonna die. And I'm like, daughter, not everything is JJK. Like, even this show, where, yes, a lot of people die, you can't just assume everybody on screen is going to die soon. That's not how this works. Yeah, this is funny.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we have a good time making fun of Aaron and his constant rage. She loves Sasha, the potato girl.
Oh yeah, potato girl. Yeah.
She is a moderate ray of sunshine in a show that's pretty dark most of the time. He likes General Pixis because he is eccentric and kind of weird and generally happy too. And Yep.
Fair. Where are you up to?
Oh, Bertholdt and Reiner are about to reveal that they're Titans to Aaron.
Oh, spoilers.
And be like, hey, come back with us. It'll be cool. And it's like, this is the worst plan I've ever seen.
Okay. Yeah, I
actually found a Reddit thread about this the other day. Like, what was Reiner thinking exactly when he tried this? And the answer is, like, he basically has a mental collapse. Like, he's been spending so many years on Paradise Island, pretending to be one person while being another person, trying to find evidence of the founding Titan and not finding anything at all. He's failing his mission. Zeke has just showed back up, and he's like, oh, that's not good. Like, they've come to check on us. And if he can just get out with the Attack Titan, he's like, maybe they won't kill us if we come back with Aaron. That'd be cool, right?
That'd be something.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that. I like some of the explanations I saw in there of why Reiner was like, so, this is me, and this is Bertholdt.
That's got to be something rough from, like, okay, we're making the anime, but we know this character has to do something that seems really just, like, out of left field, knowing that it'll eventually get paid off years later. That's because, like, at the time, definitely watching that, I'm like, what is his plan here? Like, what does he hope to achieve exactly? And then it's like, oh, okay, it makes more sense later. But
yes, no. Once you have the whole picture, which again, Attack on Titan is incredible that way. It really bottles you in to the city. You have no idea what's going on out there. like the people in the city don't know if there is anything out there. They are completely in the black about it. And then the show's like, bam, here's the whole world, and you're like, what?
Right.
And it completely changes what the show is from that point. And it's just an incredible reveal. Yeah.
I remember seeing the first season, and it's like, okay, everything's about the city, but there's multiple locations in the city because the city is like ringed, right?
Yes.
And it's like, okay, so you kind of get some variety of like, this is the inner palace where everything's really nice, but there's no Titans, and then the outskirts, which are like, Titans are breaking in, everything is awful, and then it's like, okay, what can we do to show the rest of the world that we can't really show yet? There's a forest where the scouts go to, and it's like, there's two locations, the city and the forest.
Yep. Fantastic. It's so good. Yeah, honestly, really great. It's been a fun rewatch. I don't rewatch shows very often, but this has been a fun one to rewatch with her, so. Yeah. What else has she said? She totally picked up on Annie being the female Titan.
Oh,
they
really?
Telegraphed that super hard.
Do they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they like, because her face as a Titan like looks like her face.
Yeah, it does a little.
Why does he look like Annie? Aaron doesn't look like Aaron when he's the attack Titan. What is this?
Yeah.
Like not maybe a tiny bit, but not nearly as much as it does when Annie's in Titan form. So she called Annie out like 3 episodes in advance.
Oh, okay. Good for her. Smarter than me.
Yeah. No, I don't remember figuring that out. I don't. Anywho, that's enough. It's been fun.
Yep.
What are we gonna hit next?
I want to talk a little bit about Claire Obscura, Expedition 33.
Oh, yeah. Sounds good. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is good. It is really good. I spent the first hour wandering around this city. It's not even a city. It's like 3 streets of like what is clearly Paris that had been. What you later learn is like the continent explodes and Paris, like this section of Paris, ends up in like the middle of the ocean.
Sure.
And
Atlantis?
Not underwater. Like it floats. Okay. It's an island.
All right.
And so there's a woman called the Paintress who's like this big monster lady. Who every year she writes a number in the sky, and it's been counting down from 100. So at first it was 100, then it was 99, then it's 88, you know, so on and so forth. And we're down to 33, right? And every year, whoever is alive at that age turns to, like, dust and flowers. Like, they die. They get gommaged, as they call it.
Yeah.
It's French.
Okay.
So we're down to 33, which means...
Wait, what's the word?
Gommage.
Okay. Sorry, continue.
Do you know what that word means? Like, because I don't.
I thought you said dommage,
no.
which is an apology in French. And I was like, that's interesting. But if it's gommage, then yeah.
Yeah.
Please continue.
I don't know. So you spend a little bit as this guy called Gustave. You do a little bit of running, like tutorial across some rooftops, getting some exposition with a person he knows. But you're going to find a woman called Sophia, or Sophie, I don't remember, and give her a rose. And be like, look, I'm sorry we broke up 4 years ago. Do you want to hold hands and walk to the harbour for this gommage? Right?
Yeah.
And so you spend like an hour exploring the walk to the harbour, and it becomes clear that all the people who have strings of flowers around them, like a lei, they're all the people who are turning the age that the number's about to be written. So you spend like an hour walking through exploring the city, really rooting for Gustave and Sophie, and then Sophie dies. Like right at the start of the game. And it is heartbreaking. They do it so well. I was like...
How much time would you say you get with her?
Like an hour, maybe.
Impressive.
Depends on how quickly you run through it. If you wanted to, you could be done with her in about 15 minutes. Like, if you really just skipped all the other stuff. Because, like, as you walk down the street, you can come across, like, this guy who does paintings. And he's like, look, paint for me, I'll paint you while you're dancing with your definitely not a boyfriend, Gustave. And so it's like, all right, you then go into a battle and you fight her, but she attacks you and you learn the dodge mechanic, which is, it's turn-based, the combat, but dodging and parrying is quick time action. So if you are really, really good, you can press Q to dodge all the attacks. You can get into a turn-based battle and take no damage. Which, it sounds complicated, but it's really good.
It does.
I'm learning. I am not nearly a good gamer enough to be good at it. They do say it is better with controller, and I'm using keyboard, so I'm just wondering if they've like deliberately built in a delay on the dodge key to be like, look, just get a controller, we promise. They made the game artificially hard. Because I swear, I pushed that button and the game's just like, no. But yeah, so you dodge her attacks, and this painter comes out and is like giving you some philosophical debate about just because you broke up doesn't mean you're not in love, right? That love, and it's very we're French and this is Paris, the city of love, kind of thing.
Yep.
But it's if you do a whole bunch of that stuff, it's about an hour.
Okay.
If you skip it, maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And you can switch to her and play as her. So you go through some conversations as her, right? Like she's a playable character for a bit. So, more time with her. Like she gets into and then she dies. She gets into a conversation about like a woman calls her out for not having children. Like, don't you want to see our city survive if we can? And she's like, no, it's not selfishness. I just don't want to bring a child into a doomed world,
Right.
It's good. I really enjoy it. But I suck at the combat. It's really hard. I'm really struggling.
Just need some practice. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I was exploring the first area and I ended up accidentally grinding. I don't know, how do you accidentally grind? So when you level up, you can go to like, it's kind of like a bonfire from a Dark Souls game. You go there and you can rest, and that resets all the monsters in the world. And I was like, okay, well, if I go back and rest, that's a free heal. Why would I not do that until I've learnt the dodge mechanic and I can get past these monsters at full health? And so trying to do that, I went from like level 1 to 7, and then I just gave up. Because I was...
Never quite got there, huh?
Never quite got there. And it turns out right on the other side of those monsters was another flag, another thing to rest. So it didn't matter anyway. But after that, the world splits up a little, and I found 2 mini-bosses. And I'm like, I can do this. These are going to be a little tricky because I'm probably low level. You're supposed to like come back to these later. And I just couldn't do it. They just kept kicking my butt.
Even though you're a level 7?
Even though I was level 7. Maybe 6. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I also found that like once you progress in the story, they give you enemies that are like, you can beat them, but they give you 15 times as much XP. So grinding where I was grinding, not a smart idea, because you go from needing 500 XP to another 600, right? And then
right.
I was fighting enemies getting 1200, and I was like, okay,
Well, but you'll learn.
I will. The world is really good. Like visually, it's quite good. To just be like, ooh, what's over here? What's this enemy? It's just good. It's good to have a good RPG in your life. I recommend it.
Exploration's important in these kind of games for sure. I mean, if it's like I don't care what's over there because it looks boring, then that's a big weakness in your game. So glad to hear they nailed that. So I'll have to pick it up. I think
you should consider it.
Raving reviews from everybody who's played it that I've seen. So
I did go to have a look at because I know you have it, and I figured anything that ends up in your Steam account, the kids might get access to, right? And so when I was looking at the DLC for it, which is just some costumes, right? Like you don't need it. It's like, oh, there might be mild nudity. So I'm like, okay, let's go to like IMDb or something to see what the parental guide is. And I just Googled Claire Obscure Expedition 33 nudity, and the first thing was just a Nexus mod to make all the characters naked, and I'm like, okay, that's not what I wanted.
You are bad at Google, my friend.
I am.
Hilarious.
I am awful at Google. And then I was like, oh, that's weird. It's only turning like some of the characters naked. That's a weird mod. And then I'm like, oh, the other character's 16. They literally legally can't make that mod. I'm like, okay. Anyway, that's been my experience.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Yes, I think I eventually found it in like Steam discussions, and it's like there's nothing. It's maybe like a slightly racy costume here or there. It doesn't. It's like okay, it's nothing. Yeah, I played about 5 hours so far.
Okay.
Yep. Really digging it. Really digging it. Everyone should give it a go.
Is it? What's it called? Claire Obscura?
Expedition 33.
Claire Obscure, not Obscure.
Obscure.
Claire Obscura is a thing
Mm.
in like old-timey photography.
It might be, because there's a lot of like to do with chroma and light and color and stuff, and the villain's called Paintress. So these are like visual terms and that ring out and stick in the forefront of my mind as I think about the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
so the forerunner of the camera was the camera obscura.
Oh, okay.
A dark chamber or room in which a hole in one wall let images pass through it with the light.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
that's so crazy. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Like, obscure is Latin for, like, darkness or shadowy or stuff like that, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Well, good.
Yeah. Anyway, check it out. It's a good time, yo.
Will do.
You want to talk about, what's the Star Wars? Andor?
Yeah. Just hit Andor a little bit. So remember when I was like, boy, that time where Cassian spends, like, 3 episodes with those rebels out in the woods, that better come back to mean something. It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything? It means absolutely nothing?
No, not yet. But like, after those 3 episodes, it's like 1 year later, and I'm like, that's not a good sign.
Oh.
They're not coming back to these people or any people they talked about at this point. No, they're like, we closed the chapter on that whole thing, and we are moving on.
So he like escapes, and then then it's like 1 year later after his escape.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, he goes and he rescues his buddies, and then it's like 1 year later. So whatever.
Sure.
Very soon afterwards. Yeah. So we come back in, and I don't know. I know I always say this, but I appreciate Star Wars written for adults. Using the sandbox, using all the verbiage and the world building, just expecting people to pay attention. There's this like double agent storyline going on right now that if you weren't paying attention, you'd be like, wait, what? Wait, what is this character doing? This is wildly out of character for them. And the show's like, here's what's going on, but you gotta pay attention. And it's like, okay, I can do that. I can be an adult sometimes.
Sure. Is there any more on the child marriage subplot?
No, wrap that up. Not yet, at least. We've gone back to Mon, and she's just like busy trying to get the Empire off the back of this planet right now. And so she hasn't. We haven't seen her with her family at all yet. I imagine we'll get back there, and I'm a little bit behind.
Okay.
So maybe it comes back later, but for now it kind of seems like the wedding happened. She got her money. Huzzah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so it's just there is a chink in the armor. I thought I'd be upfront about this and be like, sometimes the writing can be kind of crappy.
Sometimes they've, I don't know, promised someone a position in a Star Wars show and didn't have the heart to write him out. They were just so...
Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good. I'm listening to a podcast where people are going back and looking at Star Wars, right? And they're just talking about how, Star Wars is a kids movie. It's broad character archetypes, and it's explosions and lasers and fights and fun stuff, and funny one-liners sometimes, and you don't really have to pay attention to know what's going on, and kind of change cinema in that way a little bit too. So like, yeah, I don't know if I've made this point, but I feel like I should. I'm not saying that Star Wars should be for adults because that's what it is. Like, it's not for adults. Right. It's fun and whimsy and explosions and lasers and I like things that make it for adults within the same sandbox. I'm making a special request that it be something that it's not.
Okay. Yep.
And I don't know if I've been clear about that before. I think I've been like, Star Wars should be smart. That's what it is. Nope, it's not what it is, actually.
You want Star Wars to be gritty. That's all. You just want it to be gritty.
Well, I guess. I guess that's part of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there are other times when Star Wars does this. Like, I've talked about the whole story arc in the Wars where Order 66 happens. Ahsoka's on a clone ship transporting Darth Maul somewhere. They all go nuts.
Mm-hmm.
She tries to save them. They end up crashing on this planet, and most of them die. And there's this scene where, like, she comes back and just, like, collects all the helmets she can of the dead clone troopers and puts them on their rifles and makes a little memorial for them.
Mm.
There's no words. There's no, like, there's no jokes. There's no side characters. It's just 10 minutes of her doing this on this snow planet. Nobody else is there. She's not doing it for anyone but herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she just, like, looks at it for a minute. And then she leaves. And then it cuts immediately to Vader showing up sometime later, finding this thing.
Mm.
Oh, and Ahsoka drops her lightsabers, too. He's like, screw all of this, I'm out. She drops her lightsabers in the snow and leaves. And Vader comes sometime later, and it's the same thing. No dialogue, no nothing. He shows up. He sees the clone trooper helmets. He looks down, he recognizes Ahsoka's lightsaber, looks at it, and that's it. Like, it is good. It is good storytelling, good wordless storytelling within Star Wars in a cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
Clone Wars for kids, and they can do it sometimes, is all I'm saying.
They can do it. It's a good piece of storytelling, but like fundamentally, we know that Ahsoka is not important to Darth Vader's story.
No, she's not. But within the world that they're trying to expand upon, which is the time between Revenge of the Sith and the start of Force Awakens, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean, New Hope, I would say. Because that's
more specifically New Hope.
Yeah. But I feel like if you're writing in that timeline, I think there's a serious problem where the Imperial or the Empire does not have very many interesting characters. Right? You have Vader and Palpatine, and then like from the kids shows, the Inquisitors who have like the spinny helicopter blade lightsabers. There's not a whole lot that's super compelling characters from what I remember. Like, nothing really sticks out to me. And so I feel like if Vader is like a guy in charge of things now, right? Apart from just like, yes, he goes and kills things himself. He hunts down Jedi, and Ahsoka's technically a Jedi, so it makes sense for him to be doing it. But like, I don't know, I feel like you could be using this time to really establish someone else as like an interesting character rather than stick Vader in it because people like Vader, you know? And it's like, yes, it does make sense because Ahsoka was Vader's apprentice, yada, yada, yada. Like, there's a tons of reason why it makes sense, but at some point, I'm getting tired of seeing Vader and then making everything about Vader because Vader's the only interesting evil character we've got, you know?
Yeah, no, certainly. Yeah, it's like Vader and the Emperor, right? Those two guys are always around.
And then Darth Maul when they gave him spider legs. And until they're not, and then until they are, and then until they're not. And they're like, okay, how many times is Palpatine coming back, you know?
Yeah, I hope they're done with it.
Snoke was great in Force Awakens, and then don't worry about him. He was a clone of something. Don't worry about it.
And then Rian Johnson said, nah, it's a storyline from the previous movie. We're just going to crush it into the ground. Like he did, for reasons I still don't quite understand. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they talked about this in the podcast, too. It's like, most things in Star Wars are within Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like, Anakin Skywalker is born, and he dies, and 99% of Star Wars is in that timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
And again, I've talked about this before. Do Revan. Do something from the old Republic. Like, millennia before Anakin shows up. Just tell those stories. That's cool stuff. Show me the Mandalorian Wars where Revan was such an amazing commander that they were like, we know your name, we don't respect anyone. We don't respect other Mandalorians. We know who you are. Like, what did he do? What happened? Tell me that story.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
That would be cool.
I know. I hope maybe one day they'll do it.
That would be really cool. I just had an idea for something, and it's left my mind. Like, it's just gone. Oh, no. I did see someone make a case that the one great thing about all the kid shows with Anakin Skywalker is that in context, when Anakin gets denied the right of, like, the position of master, we grant you a seat on the council, but we deny you the rank of master. He's talking to a room full of people he has personally saved in combat a dozen times over, right? And it becomes less whiny and more like, are you for real right now?
Yes.
So, I mean, making it all about Anakin, maybe there's some upsides. Mm-hmm.
There's stuff to explore. I mean, it's a person. Person are complicated. They
True.
do a lot of things.
That's true. It's true.
Anywho. That's that. Good stuff.
Good stuff. Thunderbolts. I'll go.
Thunderbolts. Asterisk.
I did not notice that asterisk until the end of the movie. I did. Apparently, it's been on all of the promotional stuff. It was I guess, yeah.
Like, I bought my movie tickets on Cinemark, and I didn't realize there was an asterisk on the movie title. I didn't see it, so I don't know.
Did you hear about the billboard snafu?
No.
So in LA already, there are billboards that are like, it's not Thunderbolts, spoilers, it's the new Avengers.
No, they're going wide with that.
Yeah, so they're already spoiling, like, the end of the movie.
Yeah, they waited a week to be like, so by the way, these guys are the new Avengers. And, what's his face? YouTuber that I watch, I can't remember his name right now. He made the good point that, like, he gets why they did that. Cosmonaut Variety Hour. He said that because if they'd been like, it's a new Avengers film with these characters you don't know very well, people would have been like, screw you, we're not going to this.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I get why they did it in the movie. I don't know why they're spoiling it now for the people who haven't seen it. Like, 1 week, fuck you. No, I don't like that.
Right. I agree. They totally screwed this up.
Uh-huh.
I mean, on some level, word of mouth exists.
Yeah.
And, like, people are going to talk about it anyway. I'm going to be honest. When the movie happened and they're like, you're the new Avengers now, I was like, guess we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys never show up again. Like, that's how the MCU is working these days.
They're calling it the new Avengers, like the new Coke, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well,
totally.
You might stick around for like 6 months while they swap cane sugar out, I guess.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like them. I mean, to talk about the movie just a little bit, it's crazy too that they had Taskmaster in the trailers.
Right. And
they didn't really insert her into scenes after she's been shot in the face and killed.
Yeah.
Like, and unceremoniously. It's like she shows up and I'm like, is that Taskmaster?
Yeah.
I haven't seen you since
Black Widow.
The Black Widow movie, like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's Taskmaster, amazing. And then Ghost shoots her in the face and she dies. And I was like,
well, she's gonna get back up in a minute.
Right? She's gonna get up. She's a character from a previous film. She's here for a reason, right?
No,
they bring her back to kill her.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Why did they do this?
I don't know.
Like, our roster of heroes and anti-heroes is too big. We got to get rid of some of them. All right, let's bring back Taskmaster and shoot her in the face.
I don't know. Like, were they just trying to like set the stakes? I don't know. Like, there has to be a reason for killing.
People will die in this movie, and then no one else dies. So that's a stupid idea if that's what they were going for.
I don't know.
I don't know. It was I honestly spent the next 10 minutes being like, she's getting back up. Like, obviously.
Yeah, I spent the next 10 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, they're leaving the vault that's about to become a oven. Okay, the door's closing behind them. Taskmaster's still in there. I mean, they looted her body, they left her in there, and now she's burning.
Elena acted like hurt by this. Elena was honestly like, you killed her. Like, and I mean, I just kind of like how she wasn't like angry or blaming Ghost about this. She
Hmm.
was just like, I mean, Taskmaster had a rough go of it. I mean, she had a tough childhood. She had a tough adulthood.
Yeah.
Like, she just barely kind of got to be her own person, and now she's dead. That sucks.
Hmm.
And so
I,
when she was talking about her like that, I was like, she's gone. Like, Elena knows she's dead.
all right.
So
I'm
she's probably gone.
so the reason why they all end up in that vault is, I'm gonna call her Elaine from Seinfeld, is like tying up loose ends. It is like getting all
Yeah.
their operatives to go in there, and they've each been given a mission essentially to kill one of the others. And I don't know, killing
Yeah.
off one of them feels like, oh, the plan nearly worked until they talked for like a second, you know?
Right.
And so,
Well, and they kind of addressed that later when she's talking to her assistant,
mm,
and she's like, "Oh, these guys are antisocial. They don't work as a team. They don't work with anybody else. They're all horrible people, people.
mm-hmm.
And there's no way that they're gonna work together and figure this out. It's like they worked together
Yeah,
and they figured
figured
it
it
out.
out.
She's like, ah. So
Yeah.
I mean, she knew it was a weakness in the plan. If they decide to get along for 10 minutes, maybe they can get out of there. But she's like, these guys suck. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she has a good point though. Like it was close.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
killing Taskmaster was just to be like, look, her evil plan nearly worked, like this close to
Yes.
working, and Taskmaster had to pay the price. Which, I mean, it's Taskmaster. Oh well.
Right. That's the other thing. Nobody cares about Taskmaster. Okay, here's how this worked. She shows up in Black Widow, and some comic people are like, that's supposed to be a dude. Fuck you, right?
Sure.
Because they're mad about all the gender swapping, and everybody else is like, cool, Taskmaster, that's a neat power.
Yep.
Yeah? But then
Did-
she's in the movie for like 4 total minutes. She kicks Natasha's ass. Then she disappears forever. She shows up at the end, gets unmind controlled.
Mm-hmm.
There's a identity reveal where it's like, sure, okay, whatever.
Yep.
And then she disappears again. And it's like, nobody has an emotional attachment to this Taskmaster.
So what I know about Taskmaster is that they can copy the skill set of like whoever they're fighting, and so when
Yes.
John Walker comes in and he's like, "I'm gonna kill Florence Pugh," I was like, "That's Taskmaster." Like has like a cloaking field or something, and has copied his skill set to try and fight her. And I'm like, "Oh, this is much less interesting than it is in my head." When I realized that's just John Walker, you know.
Right. True facts.
Because
yeah,
boy,
It's
does
an interesting
Taskmaster
fucking scene.
Taskmaster doesn't copy anyone's skill set at all in
She's
that.
got a shield. She's fighting John Walker.
Yeah, but they don't look like they're fighting the same. They don't look like they've got their own unique fighting styles. It's like,
It's kind of generic MCU fighting, yes. Look, she throws the shield. That's the move, right? That's what Cap does with the shield, is she throws it. So she threw the shield and it bounced off a thing and she caught it again. Captain America fighting style confirmed.
sure.
But you're right, the rest of it is really generic.
I do like at the end
Well,
of the movie, John Walker hasn't bothered to like unbend his shield or get a new one.
I don't think he can.
Well,
I
it's
don't think
not-
he's strong enough.
I don't expect him to do it personally. Go get someone.
Oh.
Whoever made that shield, right? Like it's not vibranium or adamantium.
What
it-
is it?
Metal.
That'd be really heavy. I guess he's a super soldier.
Did he take a serum? I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, he did. He got
They
one.
gave him the serum. That's why when the 8,000-pound giant block of granite lands on him, he doesn't
die. Right. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just.
To be fair, he doesn't do anything that's crazy. Well, and then he jumps like 800 feet into the air up the elevator shaft.
Right, that was
Start, too.
really surprising. Like, I'm like, okay, Captain America could not do that, right? He could.
I've never seen him jump as high as he can jump.
I feel like we would have noticed if he had had the ability to jump from like ground floor to a 3-story building. You know,
Yeah. I guess.
like he can
Because
fall.
there's a few times he does jump, in MCU films, and he doesn't jump that high
No.
or far.
Nope.
No. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's Bob.
Bob. Yeah, Bob. Sentry.
I do like that everyone's in this like life or death trying to figure out what's going on situation. They've all been tasked to kill each other and they can't quite figure out what's going on. This rando wearing hospital scrubs wanders into the picture and is like, "Hey, what's up?" And they're like, "What the?
What? Yeah.
Who are you?"
Yep.
Bob. And they're like, "That does not suffice, Bob."
So you know what really annoys me is once they get out of the furnace, John Walker is like, "No, seriously, where did you come from?" But he found the coffin pod. He like looked in it and was like, "Wow, a person would have been in there, but the lid's off." And he's like, "So where did you come from, Bob?" I'm like, "Put two and two together, mate."
I was waiting for someone to be like, "Yeah, I saw this weird person-shaped thing in there and a weird coffin pod," like you said. No one said anything about it.
Yep.
Like, don't have them recognize the pod and then don't bring it up later.
Right.
Yeah, so I like this movie, but some of the writing is like, what is going on exactly here?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, we talk about this, right? There are very few perfect films. For a film to be good, in my opinion, the oversights and the weird writing and the weird characterizations and the stuff they miss just needs to be overwhelmed by the stuff that I like. And I think it did this in this film. I think I liked much more of it than stuff I didn't like or was confused by.
Yeah, I think I liked a lot of it. Red Guardian delivery like a limo service, protecting you from being a bored trip.
Dude, David Harbour as the Red Guardian is a fun character.
Yeah.
He is so fun.
Absolutely nailed.
He is having a great time with that part, and you can tell he loves doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's wonderful. And they give Florence Pugh stuff to do, unlike in Dune Part 2, where she's boring. She's great in this.
Yep.
She's not as, like, snarky and fun as she is in stuff like Black Widow and the Hawkeye show where she showed up with Kate Bishop.
She's kind of working through some stuff.
Yes, and I'm saying it's warranted. I'm not saying it's not warranted. It's warranted, because she's going through some stuff. Certainly.
Yeah. She does save a guinea pig from a research station that I was like, okay, the guinea pig's gonna show up somewhere, and this is where they like developed Sentry. So is the guinea pig gonna have powers? That'll be awesome. No.
Super pig. Yeah.
Nope. Whole lot of nothing.
No, I think that's a save the cat moment. We
Sure.
talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all it is. It's like, in case you're unfamiliar with Elena, she does murder people, but also she saved the cat. So the audience is like, okay.
She's good she's good inside. Yeah, we get it.
Yeah. Save the guinea pig. Yeah. I thought maybe okay, and then there's the whole thing too, where the opening scene, she's blowing up the research facility on like the 8th floor of a random high-rise in Malaysia. And the one scientist kept being like, "I know you were sent by what's-her-face, by DeFontaine." Like, she doesn't know what she's doing. Like, we're doing important stuff here. She's making a mistake. Let me explain to you what's going on. And I thought something would come up of that, but not at all.
Nope. The guy just
Yeah,
dies.
DeFontaine does not care. Elena does not care. Everybody gets blown up at the end.
She's kind of even snarky about it, where she's like, yes, you're going to try and convince me that you're doing major work. You've just had a breakthrough. You're so close to a breakthrough. You know, she's like, totally recognizes that, like, it's a comic book formula kind of, like, scene. It's funny, this thought. I'm a little confused as to why she broke in wearing not her costume. Like, she's off doing work, and she's just like, I guess I'll break in my gym outfit, you know?
Right.
But, sure, it's fine.
I don't know. Guess that's what she wears now.
Costume was slacking that day on set.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so one thing I was worried about the movie was that Bucky would be the babysitter, and I was right, because he is the babysitter. But they let him do some cool stuff. Like, I was really happy they let him bust out the, like, Winter Soldier motorcycle awesomeness for one scene.
For a bit, yeah.
Like, that was great. They let him be very cool for about 4 minutes. And I was like, okay. Well, that makes it worth it, I guess. Because the rest of the time, He is such a boring character. Like, if he's not Winter Soldiering, I'm like, ugh. No, he's making phone calls. No.
Falcon, he cares about his constituents.
He's a junior congressman. He's at a party talking to people. I just do not care about Bucky unless he is blowing stuff up.
You
And
weren't
need to do something with his character.
you weren't thrilled to watch him like eat a hot pocket and spill it on his shirt?
No, they're like, look how relatable Bucky is, and I'm like, nope, not doing it for me. He's incredibly boring.
He's so relatable. He just took his arm off and put it in the dishwasher. You know?
Yeah, that was kind of fun. Did he do that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier? I feel like there was a time we saw him.
I don't
Where
remember.
I've seen the dishwasher arm thing before.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Right, I barely remember it as well, but maybe not. Like, everything's referring back to Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know where my brain thought it had seen that before, but it hadn't. So moving on. So yeah, GG Bucky, Red Guardian's a lot of fun. Elena's a lot of fun. Oh, they don't know what to do with her either. She was in the second Ant-Man, and I like barely remembered that she was in there.
Elena?
No, Ghost.
Oh, Ghost, right? Yeah, she was set up there. Like that was her like origin.
Right. It was, and origin is, I might vibrate to pieces one day, and we're trying to figure out how to keep that from happening. And I'm a sad story, but also I'm a thief, and I can go through walls.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That like.
And
Nothing else. I can't tell you. Does she like ice cream? Does she have any family? Does she have a dog?
Nope.
Like, what's her favorite movie? Don't know anything about Ghosts.
name one superhero's favorite movie. Any of them.
Oh, I mean, there's the scene where Captain America was given a list of movies to watch.
Sure, but that doesn't mean you like them. By Falcon.
Nick Fury?
By Falcon.
No, it's before he's friends with Falcon.
Yeah, because they bump into it. Like, he's, like, on your left, and he's running around, and then he pulls out this list, and he has a list, and, like, Falcon gives him some more stuff to listen to.
Yeah, more stuff.
But we don't know, like, where he got the rest of it. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have any friends. It had to be Nick Fury. Like, Nick's
be.
like, hey, man, you're pretty bored. I understand that. Here, go watch some movies.
What if it was Black Widow? Like, they're friends in that movie.
That's true. Could have been her.
Yeah. I can tell you this. I know Tony Stark likes The Big Lebowski.
That's true.
He quotes it.
And
like, he references it.
Well, yeah, he quotes Point Break, too. I mean...
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
The Big Lebowski is
So
funny
that's what I'm
because Jeff Bridges is in that, and he was in Iron Man. So it's
Right. That's good.
Funny. It's very funny. Yeah.
It's a good reference, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, look, I'm not saying we need to know a specific thing about Ghost, but, like, a thing about Ghost would be nice.
She can vibrate and go invisible.
I covered that. Yeah.
That's a thing. She grew up in a lab.
Yep. I already covered the terrible, sad backstory.
Her suit is hard.
Thank you for making my point.
She's in this movie.
Yeah. Like, her character trait is reluctant to work as a team, but does it anyway pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
That's what she does in this
When
movie.
given the opportunity to save herself, doesn't. Like, to just, like, bail.
She didn't actively participate in the murder of 5 people. That is true.
Despite being on a job explicitly to murder at least one of them.
Yes, 5 more people than she's already killed. So yeah, I don't know what else to do with this. Like, Red Guardian, we don't know a lot about him, but like, he really cares about Elena. Mm-hmm. That's a characteristic.
Yeah, we know that he's all about being a superhero. Like, he's almost like from The Boys, where he's like, this is a merchandising opportunity. I want to be on the Wheaties box. I want to sell sponsorship. He's got a uniform that has, like, Tide Pods written on the side, and, like, he's bought sponsors for the new Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great.
He's really
So
good.
yeah,
He's got
good character.
character. He's got character.
He
Right?
does, and I don't want to blame the actor for Ghost being boring because they don't give her anything
Nothing
to
to
do.
No.
They don't give her any words or scenes or things like they do to the Red Guardian. So,
Well, here's the thing. They do give her some character when she's like bonding with Yulena. Yulane.
Elena,
Well, it's Yulin, right?
who?
Yulane. That's the Black Widow's sister.
No, it's Elena.
No, it's Yulane, isn't it? Because she's
No,
Russian.
It's Elena Belova.
Who's Yulane then?
I don't know.
Where did I get this word? Did I get it in the credits? Like, what's going on? Yelena. Yeah. Where did I get this
Yelena.
word? Where did I get this word then?
I'm Google it.
I'm gonna be very funny if it's in Clear Obscura, and I did Google it. There was no results.
Our brains are all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know. They're talking and they're like comparing notes of like what they can all do, and they bond over making fun that John Walker's bought a slightly bigger gun than he needs. You know.
They do bond over how much of an asshole John Walker is. That is true, but that's bonding. It's not character development.
You can develop
you're-
the characters by bonding.
You can. And
You
like,
can.
yes, it's
You-
a
look,
little
I'm-
bit of okay.
I'm on your
they
side
could've
for this,
just- I know. No. You're right though. You're right about this. They could have made her just a boring stick in the mud character who doesn't go along with Yelena when she makes fun of John Walker's gun.
Figured it out. Yulian Kudnetskov is the bad guy in the 2021 action film Nobody.
Yes, clearly that's what that's from.
Yeah.
That's where your brain filled that up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got who's the guy from Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk.
Okay.
He's the main character. He's like the action star in that.
I know. I saw some stuff for it.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I watched it a couple days ago. That's why it's on the brain.
Ah, okay. That makes a lot more sense then.
I'm like,
Good.
insert Russian name with a Y. That's perfect. Figured it out.
We got there,
Yep.
Elena. Okay,
Um,
but back to the point. I'm just gonna say you're right. We could have had Ghost be a totally boring stick in the mud, and when Elena is making fun of John Walker, she doesn't join in because that would be boring. But she does join in. She goes in with it, and that's okay. Character. She's in on that stuff. She's willing to make fun of John Walker because he deserves it.
Yep. You
Yeah.
deserve it.
Yeah. And I mean, for the John Walker character, right? Like he's basically, arguably, the main villain of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Yeah. Arguably, Dufontaine is like she's the mastermind pulling his strings, but being like we could really use a U.S. agent, but for intensive purposes, it's him. And they even mention that like he brutally murdered an innocent person on the street, and he's like, well defined innocent.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
He's still spinning it.
Right. And so for the show to be like, we could make this a one-note dude. We could just make him totally an asshole the whole movie. Just kind of continue the arc that he was on in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But for them to be like, here's his lowest point. Let me show that to you. And then for that to be basically revealed to everybody else, too, on the team. And just, it gives a level of depth to him. Like, it doesn't excuse anything he's done. It doesn't excuse how much of an asshole he is to everybody for no reason.
Right.
Doesn't kind of like...
Oh, I get it a little. Right?
Oh.
Like...
Yeah.
His character has some depth. He's an asshole,
Yeah.
but it's because he's lost everything he's ostensibly cared about, chasing something the world is set out to deny him. He wanted to be Captain America, but he was like raised as a soldier. And Captain America is a soldier, but he's not. He's still an independent free thinker. Like, he puts himself above the chain of command for good reason. Like, that system just does not work 100% of the time, according to Cap, right?
Right.
I see a situation going south, I have to do something about it. But you know, John Walker is more of the, like, typical soldier with shoot first when ordered and ask questions about it later, and it did not work out. And so we're seeing him obsess over something he's desperately wanted to, like, for the world to recognize him as, and his wife leaves him, his kid takes his kid, and he's, like, throwing himself into essentially Black Ops wet work.
Yeah.
Which is not great for the soul.
No, that doesn't make things better. Not
No.
at all.
No.
And it makes the early scenes in the film where Elena and Ghost are like, how do you do it, man? How do you have a wife and a kid and do this? And he's
Right.
like, well... And you're like, oh, okay, so... All right, he's kind of bullshitting a little bit, I guess.
Yes,
And then it's
yeah.
like, oh, no,
No,
he's
he's
really
not
bullshitting.
bullshitting.
It's all bullshit.
It's bullshit all the way down.
Yeah. Like, in retrospect, that scene is tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good for writing. It's just, let's give some depth to this dude, and they do, and it works, and it's good, and it doesn't take a ton of time, and it's not crazy heavy-handed. It's just, here's some context, and it's like, oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. I really enjoy that they do that with most of the characters. It's just Ghost.
Except for Ghost. Dude, Ghost didn't get her magical worst moment reliving with Bob. I guess they didn't all, because neither did Red Guardian.
Well, she would have, but it happened off scene because they all somehow make their way to Bob at the end and be like, "No, it's great. We'll solve you with a group hug." And Ghost is there.
Oh right.
So
That's
she would
true.
have seen it on her own. Yeah.
Her worst day would just be like, "Oh, I'm a poor child in a
It's a
laboratory.
Tuesday.
They're experimenting on me." And it's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. Although, I don't know. Elena's was just, I'm a poor child being brainwashed into being an assassin, and I had to kill my best friend. Like, that's tough.
That is tough. Yeah.
And we already knew that. We already knew her upbringing was horrible.
Right. And we do see, like, the more continued direct correlation between, like, her competence and the punishment of her peers, and, like, that still weighing her down. Like, it's... We could have gotten something for Ghost. We could have. Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
These aren't long. It's not like when Bob holds your hand, it's like a 20-minute scene. Like 3 minutes. They could have just given us 3 minutes with little Ghost. And just done something with it where we care about her. I just don't know why they didn't. Maybe it's a deleted scene. Maybe. They're like, irredeemable character. Should have killed her instead of Taskmaster.
Yeah, I don't know. I bet it's just cut for time, maybe. Like, it just... there isn't, like, a payoff at the end for her or anything. I don't...
No.
There could just be 1,000 reasons why. None of them interesting, but 1,000 reasons why Ghost gets nothing. You know.
And you can do it later. You can do it later. Like Hawkeye shows up in Thor, boring character. Shows up in the Avengers. Some kind of backstory with Natasha about Budapest. That doesn't do anything for anyone.
Nope.
And then you give him a family, and they're like, "Oh, Hawkeye. Okay, he's a real person."
We had to give him a family because we want the Hulk to bang Black Widow.
Natasha,
Yeah.
But if that was the reason, they accidentally also gave him a character. Which is
Take two birds, one stone.
Right. So again, my point is, sometimes you can introduce a character, really suck with them for a couple movies, and then figure it out later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, can I just say, thank God, Bob as evil Bob. Thank God his power doesn't actually kill people. It just turns them to shadows, and then they can come back.
Well, teleports them into a nightmare labyrinth of their own making?
Yeah.
Is that what it does?
It puts them in the warp. It puts them in, like, a really not kill you version of 40k's warp. Yeah. And it's like eternal torture until you starve to death, I guess.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Pretty bad, but, I mean... Lucky.
Not instant death?
Yeah, because, I feel like at the end... They had to be like, alright, the villain's gotta be like a really big problem. Have him kill all of New York, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, Okay, but if he'd killed like a bit of New York, would that have been substantially worse? Right? Like
Well, they've killed a bit of New York a bunch of times.
that's
They're always down for killing a bit of New York.
that's the point. Going to all of
Yeah.
New York is not a huge like I wasn't suddenly afraid because it's like, oh, it's all of New York now. You know?
I mean, it wasn't. New York is very big. They did not do all of New York.
Okay, all of Manhattan.
Yeah, one of the boroughs.
They do the whole island, don't they?
Well, that's the island of Manhattan, and then New York is bigger than that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Although
Anywho's.
I would like to point out that once like they fix it and there's like the city skyline and all these great aerial tracking shots, there's a bit where there's like waterfront buildings, a couple of skyscrapers, and one of them looks like it's just leant over. It looks like the model that they were like filming on or whatever had just fallen over and nobody noticed. It looked like two buildings were just like this, and I'm like, is that just how that building looks in New York? I've never been, and I wouldn't know how to find it. I mean, I could find it. It's next to a bridge, probably. How many bridges could
A
there
lot
be?
of bridges. Yeah, right.
Right, there's a lot of bridges, but there's a limited number of bridges. You know.
Right. This is familiar. New York. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Anywho's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so Bob is Sentry, right?
Yep.
So, keeping in the grand tradition of introducing superheroes from the comics in name and completely changing what they're about.
Did they change what he's about?
Dude, absolutely.
Did they?
Yeah, well, not entirely.
Okay, you used the word absolutely, though. Oh.
Yeah, I just mean definitively changing major aspects of who the hero is.
Sure, okay.
Yeah. Or like compared to Cap, where like Cap is pretty much Cap from the comics, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
pretty much.
But
I mean-
Sentry, from what I understand, well, go ahead, Cap.
Oh, Cap is occasionally a Hydra agent, but you know,
Yes.
There's a lot of comics. He can't be the same guy in all of them.
Right.
Anyway, Sentry is. You were saying?
Yeah. So I read the Wikipedia page on it because I was like, I'm curious about who Sentry is,
Mhm.
and so the way the story starts, from what I understand, is this middle-aged dude living in the suburbs of like Kansas somewhere, all of a sudden recovers these memories that he's Sentry, the like big-time superhero that was part of the Avengers and stuff.
Okay.
And so nobody else remembers this really, but then he goes back and visits all of the Avengers and like, hey, Spider-Man remembers that, yeah, I took this great photo of Sentry as Peter Parker and it won me the Pulitzer. Oh yeah, here's the photo right here. Yeah, you're totally Sentry. Or he helped Tony Stark develop a new arc reactor that won the Nobel Prize. And he's like, oh, that's right, I remember this about you, Sentry.
This is reminding me of an X-Men mutant whose ability is that when people stop looking at him, they forget who he is. And it's like, he's been there in everything. It's like, here's me taking down Magneto with you guys, but nobody remembers him. Like, he's...
I think Sentry postdates that. I'm pretty sure they're ripping off that guy in the comics for Marvel.
Sure. I mean, it's
So
all Marvel.
it's yeah, that's true. Anyway, but it's relatively complicated. But bottom line is that you have this dude who is Sentry, the world-saving Superman analog in the in the Marvel. But then he does have an alternate identity that is the Void. That is darkness and horribleness and all this stuff. And for a while, Sentry thought that the Void was his archenemy, that it was an entirely another person.
Oh, okay.
But what was going on is that Sentry would save a bunch of people, and then the Void would take over, and he'd kill a bunch of people. And then Sentry would be like, the Void's been working evil again, and goes and like tries to fix all of it.
I did read a little bit of the Wikipedia page, and apparently the Void tried to do as much malevolence to, like, the more good Sentry did, the more malevolent the Void was, just to be like, well, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the general concept. And they kind of dig into it a little bit, the psychology of it. There's an interesting scene where basically he comes to the terms with the fact that the Void is not a separate entity, it's just him. It's all of it's him.
It's all him.
It's all him, right? So he has to like come to terms with that. So in that sense, for Bob to be Sentry,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Superman analog, super fast, can fly, bulletproof, invulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Telekinetic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then for the Void to be him again, but just very sad and
I mean, maybe schizophrenic
sort of
drug
killing
addict.
people.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, and they make the point that, giving a super soldier serum to somebody like Steve Rogers, created Captain America,
Mm-hmm.
giving it to a meth addict who's got some bad mental illnesses might result in something a little different than Captain America.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving it to the guy from I'm really blanking on actor's name. He's in The Matrix and Lord of the Rings. He's Elrond. Made him into the Red Skull.
Right.
So I feel like it should be known that no matter what science you do, when you take a super soldier serum, it's going to magnify everything about this person, even on a metaphysical sense.
Right.
Because I can't imagine that there's a super soldier serum that actually gives powers like flying and telekinesis and invulnerability, right? It's that it feels too small to be real like that, like just real, like here's a serum and now you have telekinesis. It feels like that's awoken a metaphysical something within that person and amplified it to allow him to do psionics. I can kind of buy that a little bit more. But I'm getting to the point where even people with the best intentions to control the America's national security should know better.
Yeah. Yep. And it's interesting too because DeFontaine, like, she's, basically on impeachment trial for doing unauthorized experiments on people without telling what's going on and misappropriating funds and stuff. But her defense is effectively like, the Avengers are gone and we need new ones, and I'm trying to make new ones.
Yeah.
So, which I mean, relatively feasible argument.
Yeah, especially when she also points out that like the president turned into a bright red rage monster and destroyed part of the city that they were in, which it's like a couple streets. If you've seen the movie, he doesn't destroy a whole lot. It's like
I haven't, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, then I was asking, where are the Avengers? And I went through the list, and I was like, Spider-Man is still around.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't go anywhere.
But he is no longer, like, nobody knows who he is.
Oh, crap, you're right.
Yeah.
We haven't progressed that story at all. That's been hanging around for like 4 years now.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Oh, you're right.
He's not only...
I was like,
nobody knows who he is, but he's also back to, like, a costume he's knitting himself, right? So he doesn't have any cool tech and stuff.
He's still Spider-Man. He's fine.
I don't know.
At saving people.
Sure.
Okay, so no Spider-Man. So Falcon's around.
Sure, but they bring that up in the post-credits scene.
Yeah, so Falcon is an Avenger. Bucky? Why not? Is Bucky not an Avenger?
Bucky's in this movie.
I know, but why wasn't he... Is he not considered an Avenger?
He's a congressman now. He's got a political
And
career.
sometimes he pulls a motorcycle out of the garage and blows up U.S. soldiers in the CIA.
Those were mercenaries. It's fine. They don't... Like, it doesn't count. Probably.
Sure.
Okay,
but who else? Black Widow's dead. Hulk's Professor Hulk and friggin' useless now.
Well, I don't know where he is. He's like looking after his cousin.
He's got a kid now.
He has a kid? I didn't watch that show.
Dude,
Does Hulk have a kid?
I know. Yes, he shows up at the end of She-Hulk and is like, "I'd like to introduce you to my son."
Is the son green and hulky?
Yeah, smaller, but yeah.
Yeah. Do we know who the mother is, or did he like grow him in a tube? Okay. Well, he's Professor Hulk. He can do that. Ant-Man is drinking away his last movie, trying to forget it, so he doesn't count, I guess.
He's around.
Theoretically, yeah. Well, Ant-Man's in San Francisco. He can't be here in New York. It doesn't count. Everyone...
Well, yeah. I mean, for a while there, I think the comics there's an Avengers East Coast and West Coast. There is very problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking East Coast Avengers then.
Yep.
Interesting.
Thor is off-world. So is
Thor's raising his daughter.
Off-world.
Adopted daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But, but at the same time, Nick Fury's line about how at the end of the Avengers, where the shadowy world governing council is like, where'd they go? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, they took off. And he's like, well, what if we need them again? He's like, they'll come back because we'll need them to. So that's the Thor thing, right? If the world is in peril, I think Thor will come back. But I think it has to be like a world-ending thing. I don't think it can be a localized Washington, D.C. kind of a thing.
Sure, but I mean, we did just see a consuming shadow potentially eat the entire population of Manhattan, right?
Yeah, localized.
That's pretty big for localized. We don't know how far that thing could have spread. Like, what if you show up and by the time you get there, the entire planet's a shadow, and it's like, well, I got too close and I got teleported into it as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you could do. The answer to the void is therapy and like power of friendship. So
It's true. Sure.
Don't really need superpowers for that one.
I suppose. I'm just saying the idea that like
Thor would come back.
Well, not even just Thor. Nick Fury's. I think Nick Fury is being a bit naive that it's like, well, if we need them, they'll be here, because you're then betting on them to bat 1,000. Like they only have to they only have to not show up once, but they have to show up every time the world's in danger. And it's like, okay, well,
yeah,
they missed the phone call one time because he was out hanging with Peter Quill, and they were getting drunk in some bar. And then the Earth's just gone. It's like, okay, can we not have any kind of a pager system? Any direct line? He doesn't set up any of that. He's just like, okay, see ya.
Captain Marvel gave him a pager.
Yeah, Captain Marvel gave him a pager, knowing that, like, if you need me, you have to call, not, I'm just going to piss off and I'll somehow know. Like, that's very much in my point.
Well, in fairness, in the MCU, every time the world's in peril, the Avengers did it. Like, they were around anyway. They made Ultron.
Well, what about, like, the giant guy climbing out of the Pacific Ocean or whatever? No Avengers turned up for that.
That movie didn't exist. They have wiped the Eternals from the face of the entire MCU. It's over.
It was a big plot point in the Falcon Captain America movie.
It was... Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
It's
no, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, I read about that. I did not watch the movie.
You know what? It's a decent movie. You should give it a go when it's on streaming.
I mean...
It's
not on streaming already?
I mean, maybe for paid streaming, maybe. Is it? I don't have a Disney Plus account. So
I know, I'm pulling it up.
I'm poor. I can't afford it. Please subscribe to the Twitch channel.
Yes. He owns a vehicle.
FalconPaladin.store. Buy a shirt so I can afford to watch Disney Plus.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's on Disney Plus yet. That's weird. I feel like it should be.
Yeah.
Anyway. Alright.
Yeah. It's decent. It's not perfect. It's decent. Yeah, Gus Fring's character, really cool. He's enjoyable. Yeah.
So I don't know. So like there's that. What else about this movie? Yeah, I thought it was interesting that at the end, there at the post-credits scene, it's like, "Hey Bob, can you fly us up to meet this ship that's entering the atmosphere that we don't know where it's coming from?" And he's like, "Nope. Unless you want the void to come with it." And they're like, "Oh, okay, we're good." And I'm like, "That's how that worked. I need more answers to these questions about what the heck Bob really is."
He is. They're kind of treating it like he's just depressed, where it's like, well, but I managed to get the dishes done today, and it's like, yeah, well, okay, that's. I mean, if that works, that like he can just like abstain from using his powers and deal with his mental health like a normal person, keeps the void in check as well, but he has to abstain from his powers. Otherwise, he goes on like a power trip, and that summons the void. I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I'm not worried.
I mean, that does create an interesting character where eventually you put them in a situation where it's like, we could really use the sentry here. We're all getting our asses kicked and we're going to die if the sentry doesn't pop up.
Right.
and then summoning the Sentry and just accepting what comes with it, right?
Right. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, that could be cool, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would dig that. Although they do raise the point that like the Sentry's one dude, what are we gonna do? Ride him like 5 at a time?
Yeah. Red Guardian's like, yes,
Yes.
that sounds awesome.
Awesome.
And it's like, that's why you're a great character, Red Guardian.
That's right. I will say that scene comes after the credits. Like that is the final.
There's a mid credits and an after credits. Yeah.
Yeah. And because I was sitting in a movie theater bored out of my mind by that point. I was reading the credits and I spotted 2 things of interesting. One, the credits, when they listed who made the credits, it said end scroll by exceptional minds. Like they were like, I don't know, patting themselves on the back, like end scroll by exceptional minds, and they all had titles of being like super genius, whatever. It was very funny. But I noticed in the songs, then it's like, okay, here's where they give credit to all the songs, that it was Fantastic Four theme used, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, Fantastic Four theme. Where was that in the movie? It hasn't. It's gonna be in the credits. So like,
right. Kind of spoiled it in the
Yeah.
credits before the scene came up. Yeah.
yes.
That's funny.
Or
I thought the credits were cool, like especially the ones where they were going through the main characters at the start of the credits. That was-
yeah. It was a nice little slide. I liked it. I mean, I didn't even mention that when I went and saw this. I had a D-Box seat for the first time. I tried D-Box.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
That was a lot of fun. I want to do that all the time.
Oh, because I've got D-Box in my theaters and I've never paid for it because I'm like, meh.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Just being like, you know. Although I did make the
I don't know if
mistake.
you're selling it very well.
I made the mistake because I was talking to Aki while I was in like pre-roll, like for the previews. That my local cinema, the biggest combo they sell is a large, but they do sell extreme size of popcorn and drink. But you can't get it as a combo. You have to order them individually. So I did that, and I'm in a chair that shakes, and I've got a giant like 50 fluid ounce drink and like a giant bucket of popcorn. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make a mess of myself, but I was okay.
Oh, well done. Yeah, that does sound tricky.
It was good.
Somebody brought their 6-month-old to the movie, so that was good in my experience.
6 month. Noises and lights. They're not gonna notice.
Oh, except for the crying that they did. The
crying. Right, I forgot they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. They sure do. It was great.
I thought you were making a point that like, well, it's not very appropriate for a 6-month-year-old.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Babies are loud.
Sure.
Sometimes. Most of the time.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
humans are imperfect. Some people want to go see a movie and they have a baby. What are they supposed to do? Leave it in the car? I mean, I'm sure they'd crack a window, but like...
Well, I am a monster, so yes, that sounds like a great idea.
Well, what's the alternative? Not see the movie?
Yeah, right?
Was it really the end of the world that there was a baby crying?
No, it wasn't.
No, but we're in the movie, though. Anyway.
Yeah. So, okay, can I just... It's rushed at the end when Desfontaine, like, scrambles together this plan to save her ass.
Oh, right.
And is like, I'm going to trick you guys into showing up at a press conference that I put together in 4 seconds, and I'm introducing you as the new Avengers,
right.
And now you're not going to want to murder me for trying to kill you several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that group of people, there was a strong chance they get on the other side of that, like, downed crane bit or whatever.
It's like a tarp. Yeah.
Yeah. And they just kill her anyway in front of the press.
Totally.
Maybe
I think Red Guardian would have, honestly.
I think he's the least bloodthirsty out of the group. He's like
He
fun.
was the first one to be like, I want to kill her right now.
That's true. That is true. But he's too much like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I feel
he does care about public image a lot.
That's why they killed Taskmaster. Taskmaster is the one who absolutely would not have cared.
You're probably right. Like, I couldn't figure out how to get her into the Get her into the movie without her killing DeFontaine at the end.
Mm.
Oh man.
Ugh. Yeah,
So,
super rushed.
Florence Pugh's like, we own you now, and I'm like,
do you though?
side eye. She's slippery, man. You think you have anything on her? I assume she's like, if you try to kill us again, we'll tell everyone you tried to kill us before. I don't like. What does she mean by that?
I don't know. Maybe it's because her entire political career now hinges on the fact that she has revitalized the Avengers, and that is the only thing keeping her out of prison. That like she got results. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a little bit rushed.
So yeah, there were a couple things where I was like, meh. But I don't know. I liked the scenes with Florence and Bob. I like when they just meet.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob's kind of like, he gives these hints like things aren't going great, and
he's talking to himself.
He's in on it.
Yeah.
And he specifically says like things don't go well when I'm around, and she kind of keys in on it and kind of recognizes that he's depressed, and she's like, well, I'm depressed too. And then she's like, just stuff it deep down there, man. Like, don't let it get out. And then he's in on the joke. He's like, oh yeah, great advice. That's wonderful. Thanks. But then later when they kind of call back to that, and she's like, that advice I gave you was bad. Like, you actually do have to deal with this stuff. I don't know. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to see people get character development and like talk and just, I don't know, be people with each other, even though they're superheroes.
Yeah,
to various
and like
degrees.
The Yelena Red Guardian relationship is complicated and messy, and he was kind of ashamed to talk to her, and she thought that he had just written her off entirely, and then they're both open about it, and things get better, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah.
Well, do we have anything else with Thunderbolts?
I don't think so.
Nope. No, neither do I.
All right.
Warhammer? Can I interest you in some
Warhammer? Let's do Warhammer.
What did we read this time, Falcon?
We read a Necron book that is called The Twice Dead King.
Ruin. Twice Dead King. Ruin.
Twice Dead King.
Ruin.
Right.
Yep. By Nate
I remember
Crowley.
This title is it because it's not
Legion. Yeah, you can say
it's
that.
not Necron. Because it could have been Necron. They could have done it. It would have worked. It would have been terrible.
I think they should have called it Flayed One. Yeah, okay, so Twice Dead King, Ruin by Nate Crowley. Interesting thing that I noted in this book, as it is my second read, that like 6 of the main characters are all just one dude talking to himself, essentially. Which on paper, I think if you tried to sell me that book, I would be skeptical, but it works for a Necron for some reason. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a fun little gimmick.
Yeah.
He's got these different parts of his mind sectioned off into their own little silos.
Yeah. Especially when you're like, it touches on it very briefly that like the more you think back on a memory, the more like even a very tiny layer of memory varnish is layered to it. But the more you go back to it, that'll eventually grow thick. When most of the characters in this book are him, and at the end we've revealed that like everything he pretty much thought at the start of the book was wrong. Like he was misremembering so much because he was just blinded by an obsessive rage for his elder Jaciris.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like I couldn't have missed that in my first read through, but I was just like, man, that was so well done. I felt like that was really good. I don't know. It took me again this time around.
Yeah, and they do it a few times where they're like, Ontex tells you something about his past, and you're like, okay, main character tells me something about his past. And then it's like, here's a thing that shows you he is wrong. And you're like, oh, okay. So that opens up the door, and then they just keep doing it, and you're like, all right, this guy is struggling. Very unreliable narrator in this book for sure.
Yeah, so Altix is a disgraced prince. Yeah, he's like second prince of a kingdom.
Second in line to the throne.
Second in line to the throne. Yeah. He, from his perspective at the start of the book, he got into a fight with his older brother, Jaciris, who threw the first punch, but he, having resoundingly become a much better bladesman than him, had nearly killed him when they were discovered by the king, and commanded to stop. And then he was exiled, but on top of that, he was excoriated, which is where, essentially, they flayed him. As a Necron, he does not have his skin layer.
Sure. Insofar as it's skin, yeah.
Insofar as it's skin. Which this book also touches on a lot on actual flayed ones, as a Necron group. Like, they're a unit that you can field. And so he's a flayed one, but he's actually flayed, and they're flayed because they, cover themselves in skins and stuff. It's super gross.
Hey, that comes back.
Yep. What else do we know about him? He's exiled to Sedar, which is a tiny little frozen shitball of a planet off on the fringes, and he is repelling an orc incursion.
Mm-hmm. That's how the book starts.
That's how the book starts. Which also I'd like to point out, you asked me last week, where did the orcs and the Necrons come from? And I'm like, well, old ones made them. And in this book it opens with so we were made by the old ones, and so were the orcs to fight us, Right. Well, the Necrons weren't made, but you asked me for where the orcs came from.
The orcs came from.
Yeah. And this book touches on it. So, timing. You could have saved me a question.
I know. Would have saved at least 5 minutes.
It would have.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he is slowly losing because they're just in a war of attrition. All the Necrons on this tiny little place are starting to fall apart. And that's where we get Neth, who manages to be heartbreaking in a matter of 4 pages, where he's if that is what you want, I will turn off my relay circuits or whatever and prepare myself to die. And he
right.
Ultix and spares him, and he doesn't understand what's happening. He's it's oh my god,
yeah.
Neth.
He's so degraded.
Mm-hmm.
From what we understand, at least according to Ultix, he's not a great general. He's not a great field general anymore, but he's the best he's got because everybody else is gone.
Right.
And he resents that immensely. So he resents Neth. Which, it's not Neth's fault, but he's just the one. It's not his fault, but he is the target of the ire because there's nobody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Poor Neth.
Also interesting, they figure out that the reason the orcs are here is because they're running away. And it's wait, what? What are the orcs running from? And then it's some human crusade?
Yeah, so...
it's wait, what is going on?
There's a great scene where they go to find the Razor of Sedar, this ship captain who's Ultix is laid a trap to try and entice him to come down and be jolly and be Ultix's actual only friend on the planet for a bit. And he doesn't show her. And he's okay, I'm gonna go get this guy. What the hell's going on? He's the admiral here. Orcs are landing on my goddamn planet. I need to go chat to him. I need to figure out what's happening. And they get there, and there's a cryptek called Mentep who's well, let's go see him together, I guess. This would be a good time for you to go meet him. Because I have news. And it's okay, so here's this vid capture I recorded, and it's oh, there's a couple more orcs coming. Yeah. Okay, that's a lot of orcs. And okay, that's so many orcs.
All of the orcs. What is going on? Are they on they're starting a war?
Yeah.
Are they conquering? And it's nope. Women and children are coming too. They are fleeing.
Yeah, we get this great little scene where they introduce what counts for the nobility around here. There's armchair generals and people who got turned into Necrons, but their job during the time of Flesh was master of grain, so they don't really have anything to do,
Right.
Right. And they all keep interrupting me, oh, it's just some orcs. We can deal with that. Okay, that's a lot of orcs. And it's well, let's sit here and theorize what we can do. And Mentep's just no, if you just wait, I'll tell you, because this video keeps going. And even though they're staring down an orc armada, the biggest thing they've ever seen, an entire population migration, the Imperials start to pull through, and they're on a crusade. It is the biggest. Oh shit! That's a lot of. That's like something we don't see a lot. I feel like is the Imperium at its might, at the sharp end of it, swinging a sword.
All over the Horus Heresy, which again is where I started.
In 40K.
I know, which is why I was like, this is 40K, right? What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this...
And then the book was like, we're not telling you, it's Blood Angels. Deal with it. And I'm like, okay.
I think it's Blood Ravens.
Blood Ravens.
Well, I mean,
whatever.
So the Blood
Angels. Blood, and there's wings, and we got there eventually.
Yeah. The Blood Ravens.
Again, I'm not up on all the chapters.
No.
I need to work on this.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Like, you'll meet some more. Anyway.
Yeah. But I just as a quick aside, it's really funny because the whole time I'm like, who are these humans? What is going on? And then right at the end, they're like, bam, here's their insignia. We're moving on.
Yeah, it's probably Blood Angels. Blood Angels have a successor chapter called Blood Ravens. They both have blood dropping wings as their symbol, right? It's great.
Okay, good.
But I think the Blood Angels is probably more likely. Anyway, they never really say what is this crusade, what's going on, because the book has no human characters.
The Necrons briefly touch on the idea of trying to talk to the humans, and then everyone's like, nah.
That'll never work. They'll only treat with us if there's a bigger problem, and they are the bigger problem here.
Yeah. So is this a thing that's going on in 40K? Are there crusades going out? Who's doing them? Why?
Okay.
Is Gilliman sending these guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Gilliman's on the Indomitus Crusade. That's the thing You've read the books where he's doing that. That's where he goes from Terra with all of his Primaris Marines to go and seal up the defenses of the Imperium. From when the... Look, you've read the Dark Imperium books. That's something he was doing. He was like, I'm on the Indomitus Crusade. And they're dishing out Primaris Space Marines and forming new chapters. That's a thing that they're doing.
But what's the point of the book?
Which book?
What's the point? I don't know.
This book?
I am not remembering anything about...
Dark Imperium. That's the one where he fights Nurgle on Macragge and all of his planets. He takes a break from the Indomitus Crusade to go back to his home.
Okay.
But a lot of that's still parts of the Indomitus Crusade. It's happening.
Okay, but the point of the books is the Nurgle stuff.
Yes.
The point of the books is that the warp entities are trying to take down Gilliman.
And Mortarion and all of them. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I remember. Okay, because I remember that.
Okay,
I just remember Gilliman doing crusading things.
Okay. So, do you remember in The Emperor's Gift, which we read recently, about the Grey Knights and the Inquisition and the Space Wolves?
I do know about. Yes, I do.
Okay, so when the Inquisition got to Fenris, and they were like, "Well, is there anyone down there who can treat with me?" and they bring up Bjorn, and he's a dreadnought.
Yep.
One of the things the Inquisition suggests to him, so that everyone could save face, is that the Space Wolves do a penitent crusade to repent.
Okay.
And so that's what some chapters do. They'd go on crusades to, cover up mistakes that they made according to the Inquisition, right?
Gotcha. And that just includes conquering planets that don't recognize the Imperium, reconquering planets that were part of the Imperium and have stopped following the Imperium in the previous centuries and millennia.
More or less, yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Okay. So it is. It's just initial Emperor Big Daddy's plan redux.
Kind of. Yeah. Kind of.
Right.
So in this, we see a lot of human troops. If the Space Wolves to go on a crusade, they might do it by themselves. But we see that the bulk of this force is humans. So in the Eisenhorn books, when they're like, oh, there's going to be a crusade into the Halo Stars or whatever, and it's the very first book, and it's the mustering on Good Run, and that's why there's a big parade and everything going on. And then when they come back, that's when you get Thrimation Primaris, because they won that crusade. It's a thing regular humans do. It's not just the Astartes going out and doing it. So you might have a War Master leading a crusade to do a thing.
Okay.
Um,
Could do a thing, not
yeah,
necessarily.
it might be to like just break into a nearby region to like overthrow chaos or some xenos or to conquer new worlds. There's
Yeah.
a chapter called the Astral Claws who ran a section called Badab, and they were like, "Dear Terra, please give us reinforcements. We wish to go into the Maelstrom Zone, and we think we could conquer it. We could do a crusade, and we could get it." And Terra was like, "No, your job is to defend," and they were like, "Meh," and turn traitor. You know,
Yeah.
there's a
As
lot
you
more.
do.
There's a lot more to it. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But yes, that's what a crusade is. It's still
Okay,
a thing
so
that
the fact
happens.
this author is like, and then a crusade showed up is like, yeah, that happens quite
Yeah.
often actually. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I was kind of like, this feels
important.
fairly momentous. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It probably is in some story, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the foundation of Warhammer. This crusade, no. Only the Great Crusade gets to do that.
Yeah. I figured out pretty early on we weren't going to get any human perspective here, so
Yeah.
I made peace with it.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: you don't need it.
No, you don't.
Nope.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. We get so much great insight into Ultix and Necron mentality in this book. I absolutely adore some of the quotes. Like Ultix talking to himself about the council at Setar. It's like you can never appreciate how gloriously natural authoritarianism is until you've tried the alternative.
Yeah, not wrong.
Ah,
It's also kind of neat that we keep going back all the way back to before the Necrons got their new bodies.
right.
Right.
So with the
It, with the gifts.
divine
Yeah,
oratory, something like that.
sure.
Yeah. The oratory
It's just-
medium. Yeah.
It's just neat how some of these characters had relationships when
Mhm.
they were biological.
Logical. Yeah.
That then they went into stasis for a gajillion years and came back and just continued all the same relationships.
Yeah.
Like, nothing has changed. We're robots now. We are not human anymore, but we all have the exact same relationships that we did before. We're going to continue everything on like it was before, for the most part, as far as we can. And I just thought that was interesting.
There's definitely some like that, but then we also get the Duke of Death Marks who like woke up before everyone else in his kingdom and was like, "I'm gonna kill everyone because it might be fun," you know?
Right. Right. Sometimes they don't wake up. Sometimes they wake up as murderous hobos. Sure.
Yep.
But the
Yep.
ones that woke up that like retained their sense of self
Self.
and what they were doing before just continued on,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting because yeah, his relationship with Joris, his brother, technically extends back a million years,
Yeah. Technically,
even though they didn't really,
they want to wait for all of it. Yeah. He's only been
Right.
exiled for a couple hundred at this point, like 300.
yeah, 300 he
But
said.
they've definitely been awake and active for a bit longer than that. Yeah, so basically, they have that council where they're like, "Oh, there's a human crusade. It's awful." He's like, "I'm gonna go back to Antikef, like the capital of this kingdom that they're in, and be like, I'm gonna try and speak to the king. They're gonna kill me for showing up because I'm in exile." And my hated brother is still there, who like flayed me alive, and I'm gonna try.
I'm probably gonna die, but I'm gonna die trying to save the empire, and
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah.
That's cool. Ultix
Yeah.
with the heart of gold.
Yep. Yeah.
And so he gets there, and I mean, I don't know how fast Necron ships travel, but he gets there in the next chapter, so it's fine. And that's where we first get to see that, like, his memories are not what he thinks they are. So the use of this medium thing to, like, relive his past memories has also been burning them away. And he did that enthusiastically when he first got here. And so
Right.
he gets there.
His memories are screwed up, and he did it.
Yeah, and we get there, and we get to talk to Jaciris and, like, really kind of learn a little bit about what's his perspective. He's, like, built a kingdom, or, like, a palace way out in the desert, and is sitting there cleaning his little private army. And, like,
they're his soldiers from before that,
went
from what
through...
I understand, went through the process but never woke up.
No... So they went through the process, but because they were commoners, they just weren't like given a body that had any capacity for a conscious mind.
Okay.
So
So they just stand in the courtyard all day because they don't have a conscious mind?
yep, they just follow orders. Yep,
Okay.
yep. Only
Basically dead.
or, yeah, only
Yeah.
the hierarchy got cool bodies and permission to retain their mind. So
Right.
um. Yeah, so Jaciris turns out to not be a complete dickhead, you know.
Right.
Eventually granting him limited access to like the teleportation network, so he can go to the kingdom capital and try to speak to Eunice, his king. Going through this story beat by beat is gonna take a while.
It is. I just maybe some highlights.
Highlights.
Yeah, I like. Well, specifically, I like the part where we learned that Dejoris basically made the king let him take Onyx into war. Because he's like, if he just sits around the palace, he's just going to be like inflamed by his own sense of self and his skills and his position and his power, and then be a shitty king.
Right.
He needs to go to war to like learn humility and his limitations and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, all right. So he does have what's best for Onyx, even if Onyx doesn't understand that.
Yeah. I do. Okay, so the first time he uses the medium to like, what should we do about this orc horde that's coming? And he's like, okay, we're really worried about attrition, and like, let's go back and get the wisdom of Jaciris. And the takeaway was like, our citizens are fuel for the fire, don't care about their lives individually, and you can like, Oltix coming out of that, I really thought it was going to be like, meh, don't worry about attrition. You know?
Yeah.
But like, he eventually he works it out that like the strength is in the stones. Take the fight instead of like on an open field. Take it into the tombs, where you have significantly more control over the battlefield. But that's where we get to meet the cursed. So the highlight I'm getting to here is the flayed ones have been like, this is a sort of concentration camp, medical camp for flayed ones, like this curse of Necrons who try to eat flesh and like cover themselves in gory bits of people.
And are constantly disappointed they can't actually eat anything, but they keep trying anyway because they're insane. Yeah.
Well, are they insane though? That's the thing, because there's like, Oltix tries. He like finds himself like, I should maybe watch this, and then like, he sticks around for a minute too long, and there's a flayed one offering him bits of meat. Like he's like, do you want some? He's like communicating with Oltix even though we can't talk.
Yeah.
And then when we're in the city, when they finally get into the city, and he's like, oh, the curse is rampant here. There's like another flayed one who's like daubing a symbol on his leg, and he's like, get the fuck away from me, and kicks it.
Like a wall, like the symbol of the wall.
He doesn't know what symbol it was, I think he in the
sure he recognized what it was, but he didn't know what the intent behind it was.
Okay, because later, as he's like making his escape, the flayed ones kill a bunch of space marines, and he also starts like daubing symbols on the wall and being like, look at this. So there's like 3 instances where flayed ones are trying to communicate something very important to Oltix, or at least offer him or communicate. And
he doesn't really pick up on it though, right?
Yeah, no, he doesn't. I mean, this book has a sequel, so you know.
Yeah. So you're saying that's maybe indicative that something else is going on with the flayed ones that we don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't think he knows what this symbol means.
No.
No,
he does. He's very confused and creeped out by it.
Yeah. So, Mentep, this elusive cryptarch on Zedar, has suggested that like obsession is a great way to keep your mind off the Flare virus and like keep it from progressing. I'm just gonna throw it out there that Oltix was maybe a little bit obsessed with hating his elder Jaciris.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Seems to do pretty good job.
Pretty good job.
Mention Trazen. They're like, well, then Trazen's the most sane among us because that guy.
Not. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Unas has become the eater of gods. He's like fully given over to the Flare virus, and like they keep alluding to like this mission where he took like this giant ship that they have called the Acrops, and like went and do a thing, but won't tell anyone about it. You know?
Well, and didn't come back for like a year, and everyone's like, "Boy, sure seems like the king is dead." And then wandered back into the system, being like, "Hey, we won." It's like,
did you?
Are you okay? It's like, "Yeah, we won."
It was a victory.
Like,
I'll speak no
the
more.
Same, and the ship's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something bad happened out there.
Yeah, and something really bad happened.
That's a future book's story to tell, apparently, because this book is not interested in.
Not interested. It's too much.
No. Yeah.
Ultix sees his king. One of his subminds is like blocking his face. Is like, do not look upon his face. I'm just gonna cover it with like targeting reticules. Don't look. And when he does, the king is like committed like a monstrous act of like essentially imagine like digging up George Washington and wearing his face.
Yeah, pretty incredible stuff.
Incredible stuff.
It's like Ontix is like, we were forbidden from being in the same room as the interred body of our previous king.
Yeah.
Let alone looking at it, and here it is, his face is draped over the current king's, and I'm looking at it. It's blasphemy.
Right. The spaceship we brought his body here with, we sent it into the sun because no one else should be allowed to use it. You know?
With all hands on deck. Yeah.
Yeah. So he launches himself in a blind rage to attack Unas as like, I don't know, it's like blasphemy, kill the blasphemy. It makes sense. It's like, what else were you gonna do here? The king does not recognize you. He'd already talked a little bit about regicide with his subminds on the way in. It's like, well, I guess maybe that's on the table. Combat seems to think so. You know? That there's like a magic tech field that like takes the attacks that spring at you and puts them back on yourself, so he almost cripples himself. He then finds out that there's like this charlatan snake oil seller who's been like advising the king, comes in and is like, oh, we could throw him in the gladiatorial pits, which Ultix is right. The idea of having a gladiatorial pits when you're all immortal and like can't change because you're robots does sound like it would be very repetitive after a while.
Yeah, certainly.
Sounds
certainly
awful.
And just real quick before that point, he's accused of trying to kill the king, and that's
Right.
why he got exiled. And
Right.
Ontix is like, what a ridiculous, filthy lie.
Yeah.
I'm not a regicide. Like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing it now, but I didn't try before today.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, is that okay? Is maybe his memory still not? Yep. Eventually, what we figure out is Ultix had foreseen the crumbling of his dynasty and tried to kill the king. That is what happened, and his elder Jaceres was the better blade master and stopped him, but managed to petition him to be exiled rather than killed, knowing Unas was slowly going mad, but because, like, as part of his programming when he became a robot was to never betray the king, he personally couldn't do anything about it. You know?
Right. Yeah, and it's less that the empire is crumbling and more that the king is going to send him on a suicide mission.
Right,
and that the second in line to succession of the kingdom is going to die because the king is stupid.
The king is going insane. Yeah.
Right, or that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we're finally given all of these more true memories of Ultix when he's being excoriated, and like Jaceres is talking to him, and like this, they have lights all over their bodies, and he's like, you can dim these in patterns to like send a private code, and he's like, look, brother, I'm doing this to protect you because you're gonna try and kill the king. It's not gonna work. You're going to end up dead yourself. This is not. I'm not exiling you because I don't love you or because I don't believe that like you living by your passion. Necrons don't believe in passion a lot, but you wear it well. It's this really heartfelt thing from one brother to another, and you realize that Ultix has seared this memory away and replaced it with one where he just hates his brother for being like too rigid in the laws of Necron people. It's so sad. This book This book can really get to you. It's great. I love it.
Spent all this time like just believing a false past
Mm-hmm.
and harboring this hatred for somebody that doesn't deserve it. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the humans show up on the world because he gets disabled for a bit, you know. And then there's a siege, and during the siege, Jaceres uses his body to power a force field and essentially explodes. You know, he dies.
Yep.
Essentially, he lives a little bit beyond that, but he tells Ultix to run. There's a ship coming in to pick you up, and like all the treasures, and they've gone around to all the other core worlds to try and like retain the might of the dynasty. And Ultix is like, oh well, the king's personal ship. Great, I'll try and escape in that because the teleportation station just got blown up by an Astartes attack run.
Right.
We do see a lot of great insight on humans in this book from the Necron perspective. Like, oh, the people landing, coming in first, are the people who are not faithful enough. They've been sent in first as a punishment. But also, the most faithful are coming down as a reward in the same position, you know? Fucking crazy people. And then when the Astartes are coming in drop pods and there's, like, Gauss turrets targeting them, we see all of the human, like, fighter pilots, basically, or the jet pilots and stuff, form up in formation to use themselves as a shield to block the Astartes from taking fire. And it's
Right.
Okay, so there's someone up there who's like, yeah, just sacrifice like as many humans as possible just to make sure the Space Marines get on the ground. And Ultix is having a moment where he's like, I didn't bother to study the warrior cults, but even I know that they've, much like humans, worrying like humans, the Necrons like transcended themselves into something else, and so have the Astartes, and so we should probably be wary of them at least, you know? There's good bits.
Yeah, just like some similarities with them. But he's then, and then an interesting. I like the point too, where it's like the Astartes have basically enslaved themselves to their predecessors.
Right.
They protect the people that they have succeeded in becoming a better, stronger, faster, more powerful human.
Mm-hmm.
And Onyx is being taught about this, and he's like, "Huh, yeah, that is weird." He's like, is that any better than us being slaves to our dead forefathers and guarding their tombs all the time?
Right.
And he's like, my teacher did not like that. Did
Yeah.
not like what I said that.
Raised one too many questions that they did not want to answer. Yeah.
No.
So he eventually gets to like the ship where he's gonna leave, and there's the Lich Guard, which are like these personal bodyguards of the king, and they're like, we want to serve. We want to serve. And then there's the king over in the corner feasting. And Ultix is like, well, third time's the charm. Regicide. Stabs him. And then we, like, because they're robots and everything's instant, we get, like, a transfer of command scene for Ultix where his vision literally goes gold. And it's like, oh, the king literally sees everything in rays of gold. Like, that's how Necrons... There's a big bit in the book that, like, whoever's at the top of the dynasty is basically king and god, and they can inscribe things with a hecatic truth, which is, like, I don't know, their power source, plus their soul, plus how they say things, right? Like, if you write something down, it has a measure of hecatic truth. And when the king says something, it's up to everyone else to make sure the universe matches it, you know?
Right, which seems challenging.
Seems challenging, but you can see how kings would go mad when they, like, they see everything in gold, you know?
Yeah.
It's like they're literally blinded by their own power, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. That'd be interesting to see.
That'd be interesting. So eventually he kills him. He's sad because if he's the king, it means Jaceres is already dead. Because he's second in line.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Jaceres is dead.
It's an automated system.
Yeah. So he eventually gets out with the Lich Guard, gets on board, finds The Razor of Seta is maintaining his mask of being a noble guy because we skipped over that he's also got the flayed one, Virus. He's been trying to feed.
Yep.
And then they're like,
But he's also maintained his mind longer than any other Necron that they've seen.
right? Yeah, it's true.
Right.
Even with his occasional
so
slip up.
Mentep's like, I think we can cure it. And Altix is like, no one's ever done that, you idiot. It's impossible.
Right.
And he's like, no, but look at this guy. He's still pretty sane. He hid it from you for a long time, and no one ever does that when they pick this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. And then they're like, how do we get away from the giant Crusade? Oh man, they even talk about how it's like it's a fifth of the Crusade. It's not even the entire fleet that's like attacking them.
Like ships are constantly showing up. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a great bit about tachyon arrows and like the lesson of patience for Altix. That's a real thing you can get in the game, by the way.
A one-shot, incredibly powerful, cannot be reloaded or reconditioned. Yeah.
You can do it once, and like a game board is, I don't know, a couple feet by a couple feet, right? The game is played in inches, so I have to suffer through inches. But its attack range on this a couple foot by a couple foot board is like 120 inches. It is designed to go anywhere in the board.
And instantaneously.
And you can miss with it, like poor Altix had. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so
how long did you wait before you used it? About 4 months. And you missed.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, so they're just like, how do we get past the humans? Like, oh, well, let's
be smarter than the humans. Short answer.
Yeah, no minimum range, Aki. You can fire it at 1 foot away if you want. I mean, this book kind of says it's like a low yield atomic. It might have some backsplash if you use it at 1 inch away, but you could. The game rules says no negative effects for that, but yeah, no minimum range. We'll be smarter. We'll put a fake detonation in our ship drives and then leak a random green fluid. It's not even the right color, but the humans won't know. And they'll...
Yeah, it's not even the right shade, but humans are too dumb. They can't tell the difference.
Yeah, and so the humans attach giant chains to them and be like, alright, let's pull them out. And the Necrons get to cringe, which is something I mentioned last week. That like,
you did.
Oh my god, they're using chains. Like, how barbaric, how uncivilized.
And magnets.
That's gross. And as they've just been started to pulled out, they're like, alright, gun the engines. And the ship is like a giant crescent moon, and it like gores the front of this other human ship, which they described earlier as having a deformed hunting bird mounted the prow, and it's because it's the twin-headed eagle from the Imperium, and they've gored it and they've kept it like a trophy on the end of their ship, and they're like, alright, let's get the frick out of here.
Yeah,
so
and they do talk about how like Ontix is the new king, and he's always thought differently than his predecessors. Mm-hmm. He's always kind of had empathy for the people lower station than he is. He thinks about new ways to do things. That Necrons are like, that we do not do new ways. We do the old ways forever. Mm-hmm. So DeJoris is like, maybe you're the right guy for the Necrons now. Maybe you're the one that can save us in this time, because I can't. I'm too inflexible, and so is everybody else.
I'm made of iron.
You're the only one who can do it.
I'm made of iron. If I bend too far, I break. You're made of silver, though, which is maybe less, not as strong, but it is shinier. Which he means is like a brighter and good and more valuable. But calling him shiny, I don't know, maybe a little diminutive.
Yeah, well, and more malleable too.
Yeah.
Silver can be more molded than iron can.
Yep.
And I just want to share this great quote too from at the start of the invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Basically says, for most of the night, the Necron war machines had continued to dominate the flats beyond the curtain wall. denying all attempts by the humans to field any vehicle beyond the lightest specification. But in the end, even these apocalyptic implements had been ground down by the application of endless, terrified human soldiers. The last pair of Serapitheks had retreated, heavily damaged an hour ago. Quantity, the scarab had remarked grimly as the curtain wall had at last been breached, has a quality all of its own. The statement had summed up, as Onsex understood it, the guiding principle of the human species.
Yeah.
Humans and orcs have that in common. Just like throw bodies at the problem and it will fix it most of the time.
That and the Tyranids. Yeah. The Tyranids will literally
And the Tyranids.
rain down bodies until we clog cannons with body parts, you know?
Right. True fact. True.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess that was my other question. So, Necrons have Titans then? Is this just game parody? Like, every faction needs its own Titan because the Orcs have them, and the Humans have them,
the Eldar have
the
them,
Necrons have them, and the Eldar have them.
So I don't think the Necrons actually have anything that, on the tabletop, can match with a Titan.
Because there's the whole thing where they come out and they've been kind of infected by the virus, and then they shake it off and go fight the humans. I'm gonna Google Serapitheks.
Yeah, Serapitheks. How do you spell that?
S-E-R-A.
Yep.
P-T-E-K-S.
Thought so. Yeah.
I guess not. They're like spiders.
Yeah, they're considered a heavy construct. So they're more like heavy tank.
Okay.
For reference, a Serapithek has 24 wounds, which is a lot. That's a lot of wounds. Like a Space Marine has 2. So this is a tank. I believe I have a Warlord Titan, which is currently in a box and I cannot pan to, but you've seen it. Let me find how much it has. 100 wounds.
Okay.
Yeah. And I believe in the previous edition, 9th edition, because we're now in 10th, it actually had like 90 wounds. It had less, but it had like 24 void shields, which could regenerate. And each shield would like absorb an infinite amount of damage and then pop. So you had to attack it like hundreds of times, even with like little things, just to get to its like actual HP.
Okay.
So I don't believe on the tabletop Necrons actually have anything that fills that role as a Titan.
Okay, fair enough.
Which is strange because I mean they're robots. Make a big robot.
Feels possible, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anywho, good Necron book. Good stuff.
Good Necron book, which is fortunately followed up by a sequel that we're gonna read, because why not?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll do this. We'll finish this series and then we'll spin the wheel. So the next book is called Reign, Twice Dead King Reign, R-E-I-N-G, I-G-N. Yeah. Since now that we have a king, long may he reign.
Indeed. The Kindle was like, now read The Infinite and the Divine. And I was like, done.
It's a great book. Read it again.
It's a great book. Good suggestion. Now, next in the series, it says next in the series is Dagobbo's Revenge. A Mike Brooks orc book.
It's a good book.
More by Nate Crowley. Hey, look, it's the rain.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, good deal. We'll grab it.
Excellent.
All right. Woo. Stuffed podcast today. Good stuff.
Absolutely stuffed.
Yeah. Anything else we need to cover? Think we're good?
I think we're good. Yep.
All right, we're good. So that's going to be it from us today. This has been Falcon Paladin and Somicron coming at you with an extra long edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour. You can watch us live at twitch.tv/Somicron on, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever we do it. You can get updates on the Discord server, and you can watch VODs on the Twitch channel as well at twitch.tv/Somicron. Also, the VODs are on youtube.com/@Somicron. You can support the podcast by pledging at patreon.com/Somicron and by buying the merch you can find at falconpaladin.store.
It's true.
So again, thanks for hanging out. We'll be back next week with more Warhammer for sure. Maybe some more movies, maybe some Andor, maybe some more Attack on Titan. Who knows what the plan is, but we'll be here. Nerdy stuff galore. And until then, stay safe and healthy and take care of yourself.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.